Go! With a flick of his finger, Xiao Yan let out a fierce shout. As his voice rang out, the three-colored fire lotus, which had been slowly revolving, suddenly transformed into a blurred streak of light, shooting out like a bolt of lightning. Despite the formidable and wild energy contained within the fire lotus, its passage through space was strangely silent. It didn't even cause the slightest ripple of energy. However, this quiet appearance only served to heighten the sense of foreboding that surged within people's hearts. At the joyful platform, Yunyan's gaze remained fixed on the vague light streak that streaked across the sky. Although his dou qi had been sealed, his perception as a dou huang still persisted. Thus, she could sense the terrifying energy within the fire lotus. Her pretty face revealed a trace of anxiety. And her delicate fingers clenched tightly. She knew that Xiao Yan and Yunshan were now unleashing their true killer moves. The moment of victory or defeat was upon them. The fire lotus, amidst countless gazes filled with various emotions, shot across the sky. Eventually, like a tiny meteor, it crashed violently into the massive swirling storm. Compared to the colossal storm, the fire lotus was insignificantly small. Almost minuscule in size. Its impact was like a small bird crashing into a mountain wall. It didn't cause any discernible tremors, yet appearances could be deceiving, for size alone did not determine power. Explode. As the fire lotus collided with the storm, a cold and indifferent shout suddenly resounded through the sky like thunder. Boom. Following the shout, a three-colored firework burst forth from the storm. A deafening explosion erupted, shaking the heavens. The explosion's roar echoed through the sky, unleashing an immensely terrifying energy storm. Instantly, it surged from the point of impact between the fire lotus and the storm, spreading out to engulf an area of 100 meters in radius. Under this terrifying energy storm, even those engaged in the intense battle, such as Yao Lao and Wutu Guardian, were startled. They turned their heads in shock and awe. The sudden explosion had caught them off guard. I didn't expect the combined three-kind flame lotus to possess such incredible power. This little fellow has actually created such a terrifying technique. The thunderous explosion resounded through the sky, reflecting off the three-colored flames and dense dark blue dou qi, intermingling in the air like layers of dark clouds. The sunlight that had been shining down began to dissipate. The four-colored flames shrouded the sky over Cloud Mist Mountain, rendering the sun's rays powerless to penetrate the dense fiery clouds. The fiery waves of energy swept over everything, affecting even the chaotic battlefield in the distance. Some nimble individuals managed to evade the worst, while those slower to react were struck head-on by the flames. In an instant, their chests were hit as if by a heavy hammer, and blood mixed with scorching heat sprayed out. Within the intense heat, the blood evaporated rapidly. The sunlight pouring down from the sky slowly vanished, and the four-colored fiery waves shrouded the sky like layers of thick clouds. The faces of the spectators on the square stared in shock and disbelief. After a moment, the sound of people swallowing saliva echoed continuously. Some wiped away cold sweat from their foreheads, facing this overwhelmingly terrifying energy that nearly rivaled the forces of nature. Even for those who had reached the dou wang level, there was an overwhelming sense of insignificance and vulnerability. This power was beyond their current level to contend with. On a towering treetop, Hai Bo Dong and the others descended from the sky. Their appearances were slightly disheveled, and they had been caught off guard by the earlier wave of terrifying energy. Fortunately, their formidable strength prevented them from suffering any severe injuries. Is everyone alright? As they revealed themselves, they exchanged glances and inquired. Hai Bo Dong forced a bitter smile. His gaze swept over the lineup of their strong side. Then, he slightly furrowed his brow. After the fierce battle just now, Cloud Mist Sect had suffered the loss of several elders. Although they had also lost 3 dou wang level experts, it was clear that the battle was much bloodier than anyone had anticipated. While they were counting, Yin Bo Lao, Su Mei, and Iron Guardian Law suddenly turned slightly pale. Unfortunately, most of the dou wang level experts they had lost were under their command. Damn you, Cloud Mist Sect. The three exchanged glances and cursed bitterly. Dou wang level experts were not easily cultivated. Losing several of them was truly a painful blow. I wonder how Xiao Yan is faring. Lin Yan's face was also a bit pale. However, his pupils were flickering with a peculiar fervor. It seemed that although this battle had been extremely brutal, it perfectly matched his appetite. To him, life was meant to be filled with such exhilarating challenges. The casual sparring within the academy couldn't satisfy his craving for battle. At his words, Lin Xiaoya and Lu Qing shook their heads. Although their expressions weren't great either, they had only sustained minor injuries. I don't know. However, he is facing an opponent whose strength is true to his dou zone level. You should know, this fellow's strength is just at the dou wang pinnacle. If news of this battle were to spread within the inner academy, even Elder Su Qian would be astonished. Lin Xiaoya and Lu Qing exchanged glances, a hint of helplessness in their words. It seemed that surpassing Xiao Yan had become an even more daunting task in that sea of flames. It's unclear if he's alive or dead. The techniques he used were so potent that even he couldn't escape them. Ziyun's gem-like eyes gazed at the thick, three-colored clouds shrouding the sky. She gritted her teeth, her voice laced with determination. However, her anxious concern was evident on her delicate face. Lin Yan and the others raised their heads, looking at the thick cloud of three-colored light that shrouded the sky. Their brows furrowed. And a hint of unease crept into their hearts. After all, Xiao Yan was confronting a true Do Zone level opponent. As Hai Bo Dong and the others gathered, the elders of Cloud Mist Sect also appeared on the joyful platform. After exchanging glances at each other's disheveled appearances, their expressions turned even more grim. When they realized that nearly a quarter of their number had disappeared compared to before the battle, their displeasure became evident. At the joyous platform, Yunyun's gaze fell upon the appearing elders of the Yunlan sect. When they noticed the drastically reduced numbers, their expressions sank. They hadn't anticipated such severe losses for the Yunlan sect. Moreover, within the fiery clouds in the sky, Yunshan's fate remained unknown. Despite their awareness of a formidable Do Zone's strength, they couldn't help but feel uneasy about the terrifying energy contained within Xiao Yan's tricolored fire lotus. Even though they understood Yunshan's power, anxiety still gnawed at their hearts. A tinge of panic appeared on Yunyun's beautiful face. She realized that the fate of the Yunlan sect hung in the balance, teetering between life and death. In the midst of the turmoil, the elders exchanged glances, instinctively turning their attention to Yunyun. Although she had stepped down from her position as sect leader in recent years, she had held that role for a long time. As a result, her reputation within the Yunlan sect, while not as grand as Yunshan's, still held enough weight to maintain her position as the second in command. With Yunshan's fate uncertain, the elders subconsciously regarded Yunyun as the decision-maker. Yet Yunyun paid no heed to the elders' gazes. She understood that the Yunlan sect faced a dire situation today, one that could be described as a matter of life and death. Suddenly, a violent fluctuation surged from a certain point within the square, drawing the attention of the crowd. Two figures shot out from the fiery clouds, grabbing everyone's focus. However, as they clarified their vision, it became evident that these two individuals were not Xiao Yan and Yunshan, but rather the Wutu Protector and the Medicine Elder. As the two figures emerged from the fire clouds, they descended, their landing stabilized after a moment of wavering. In their present state, the two were worse off compared to earlier. The eerie black mist that had shrouded the Wutu Protector had dissipated, revealing his body. His chest heaved vigorously, and his labored breaths filled the air. Clad in a voluminous black robe, his dark face faintly displayed a pair of crimson eyes. The Wutu Protector seemed worse for wear. In contrast, the Medicine Elder, who had previously possessed a phantom-like body, now appeared even more ethereal. His face looked older and worn, a testament to the intense battle the two had undergone. It appeared they both suffered injuries in their clash, leaving both parties heavily damaged. Giggling, old man, I didn't expect you to remain so tenacious even without your physical body. Truly worthy of being the renowned medicine sovereign of the continent. The black robe fluttered slightly as the Wutu Protector emitted a strange laughter, his voice accompanied by heavy breathing. Want my soul? It won't be so easy. The Medicine Elder's cold laughter echoed. At the mention of this soul haul, the Wutu Protector's crimson eyes dimmed, and his voice, tinged with a hint of darkness, carried a sense of menace. Is that so? You really think that I'm so easy to deal with? Even if I have to pay an enormous price today, I will capture you and bring you back to the Soul Hall. Giggling, the Lord of the Hall is very interested in your soul, you know. Hearing the Wutu Protector's ominous tone, the Medicine Elder's eyes narrowed slightly. An unsettling feeling arose within him as he realized he knew little about the creatures of the Soul Hall and their ultimate methods. Meanwhile, as the Medicine Elder contemplated, the thick fiery clouds in the sky suddenly began to ripple. A massive vortex emerged and swiftly began to spin. As its rotation intensified, the surging flames churned like turbulent waters. Once the vortex reached a certain speed, two muffled thuds echoed, and two figures were violently expelled from its depths. The sudden appearance of these figures immediately drew the attention of the entire square. As their identities became clear, a collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd. These figures were none other than the key players in the battle, Xiao Yan and Yunshan. Expelled from the fiery clouds, both figures plummeted toward the ground. Observing their descent, it seemed that both individuals had fallen into a state of unconsciousness due to the earlier explosive release of energy. Amidst the astonishment of the crowd, the figure positioned at the rear suddenly trembled, and his tightly shut eyes slowly opened amidst the roaring wind. He's awake? Who is it? The figure that awoke and managed to control his descent immediately attracted the attention of countless individuals in the square. In no time, gasps of surprise and cries of joy resounded. As the emerald green flame's wings emerged from behind the figure, his identity was revealed, Xiao Yan, recognizing the familiar fire wings. The crowd was quick to identify him. The square erupted into a mix of startled gasps and excited shouts. With the emerald green fire wings fluttering behind him, Xiao Yan rapidly descended toward Yunshan, who was still falling. His remaining do qi was drawn out of his body and channeled into his fist. With a determined look, he struck Yunshan's chest with all his might. Xiao Yan knew that even though the combined power of the tricolored fire lotus was formidable, it would still be a daunting task to outright defeat a Do Zone. Thus, he aimed to capitalize on Yunshan's momentary vulnerability, delivering a powerful blow to seize the upper hand. If he didn't take this chance, he might be the one left helpless when Yunshan recovered his strength. Xiao Yan's actions once again sent shockwaves through the crowd. Anyone could discern that Yunshan's defenses were at their lowest point. A powerful strike now could undoubtedly result in his severe injury or even death. Amid the sea of startled and elated gazes, Xiao Yan swiftly approached Yunshan. Although Yunshan had managed to regain consciousness and was aware of his surroundings, an overwhelming sense of dread emanated from his heart as he beheld Xiao Yan's malevolent grin and killing intent. He felt a surge of fear, knowing that if Xiao Yan struck now, his fate would be sealed. Gazing at Yunshan's expression, twisted in horror and terror, Xiao Yan's grin widened, and a faint voice reached Yunshan's ears. Old dog, as I said back then, you'll regret letting me escape by a hair's breadth. I've kept track of this debt for 3 years, and today I'm repaying it all. Giggling, the sovereign of the hall is quite interested in your soul. As Xiao Yan laughed heartily, his internal doqi surged through his veins and into his fist. As his knuckles neared Yunshan's heart, a piercing scream suddenly echoed from below, originating from a woman's voice on the square. Xiao Yan, stop. The familiar voice caused Xiao Yan's clenched fist to tremble. His gaze involuntarily lowered, and he saw Yunyun's pale and beseeching face. As he looked at the pale and beseeching face of Yunyun, a trace of hesitation flickered within the fierceness in Xiao Yan's heart. Her words and actions had some influence on him. After all, a time seemed to freeze across the entire sky. Countless gazes were fixed on the young figure in the sky. His next move would determine the fate of Yunlan sect. Haibodong and the others tightly clenched their fists. When Xiao Yan's fist momentarily faltered due to Yunyun's scream, they could barely contain their urge to jump up. At this moment, if that punch landed, their high-stakes gamble could finally pay off. Strike. Strike. The atmosphere was silent, yet the hearts of Haibodong, Jia Xingtian, and the others were pounding. Their faces turned red from excitement, veins protruded on their arms, and their eyes were wide open. Although they were extremely excited, they didn't dare to make a sound, their inner screams trapped within, in this battle. Numerous forces had wagered their entire families. If they won, they would gain immense benefits, but if they lost, they would face the real danger of their families being annihilated. The outcome hinged on Xiao Yan's next punch, fall, and win gloriously in this audacious gamble, refrain, and fail. If Yunshan had the chance to recover at this moment, a stunning reversal might occur in the battle. In the distant sky, Medicine Elder's gaze was fixed on Xiao Yan. His eyes gleaming. He knew that this young man, who he had watched grow up, would not disappoint him. Amidst the silence, countless eyes, filled with various emotions, intertwined in the sky, waiting for the final outcome of this battle. As Xiao Yan's gaze shifted downward and lingered on Yunyun's pitifully pale face. In that instant, a hint of tenderness flashed in his eyes. Yunyun clearly noticed the change in Xiao Yan's eyes. Her pale complexion faded slightly. She knew that her interruption was somewhat forceful and disregarded his feelings. However, no matter what, she was still a member of Yunlan sect, and Yunshan had been her teacher, regardless of the strained relationship over the years. Just as Yunyun's complexion began to regain some color, Xiao Yan suddenly withdrew his gaze. The fleeting tenderness in his eyes vanished in an instant, replaced by a strong and resolute determination. He had said before that no one could stop him from killing Yunshan, not even Yunyun, with whom his relationship was complex. Yunyun, the blood debt of the Xiao family must be repaid by someone. A detached voice emerged from Xiao Yan's lips, drifting through the air above the plaza. Yunyun's pale face, which had just regained some color, turned even whiter. Her delicate body trembled, and mist welled up in her eyes. With a solemn tone, Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly grew fierce. His clenched fist, which had momentarily stalled due to Yunyun's scream, trembled violently. Amidst countless gazes filled with shock and excitement, he poured his remaining strength into his fist and struck Yunshan's chest, targeting his heart. A dull thud resonated as Xiao Yan's fist made contact. The sound sent a shock through the hearts of the onlookers. The powerful force surged out of Xiao Yan's fist and onto Yunshan's body. Asterisk crack, asterisk, a sound of bones breaking followed the dull thud. But this time, the sound did not come from within Yunshan's body. Instead, it emanated from Xiao Yan's clenched fist. The tremendous force had caused Xiao Yan's bones to crack due to the backlash. Old dog, this is for my father, this is for the deceased members of the Xiao family, this is for my second brother whose life you shortened. This is for my elder brother whom you left paralyzed. Xiao Yan paid no heed to the intense pain in his fist. His eyes turned bloodshot, and his fists continued to move, striking Yunshan's chest relentlessly. With each blow, a roar of anger followed, splurt, under Xiao Yan's relentless onslaught, Yunshan's chest visibly caved in. His face turned crimson, and a mouthful of blood, mixed with fragments of internal organs, spewed out like a geyser, drenching Xiao Yan in blood. However, Xiao Yan paid no attention to it. Like a madman, he continued to rain down furious blows, his face twisted with rage, watching Yunshan's life rapidly fading away under Xiao Yan's relentless barrage. Yunyun's pretty face lost all color. Her legs gave way, and she finally slumped to the ground, cradling her lips in pain. From Xiao Yan's heartrending screams, she could sense the extent of his hatred for Yunlan sect. That hatred could only be washed away with blood. As Yunshan's life quickly dwindled beneath Xiao Yan's relentless assault, the entire plaza fell silent. Only Yunyun's soft sobbing echoed in the air when Xiao Yan's fist, filled with fury and killing intent, struck Yunshan's body with all its might. Haibodong, Jia Xingtian, and the others finally let out a sigh of relief. They sat down on the treetop, thoroughly exhausted from the intense tension just moments ago. This kid. It seems he's endured quite a lot over these years. Old dog Yunshan brought this upon himself. Haibodong sighed softly, murmuring to himself, in the future, Yunlan sect will likely be expelled from the Jiama Empire. Jia Xingtian nodded slightly. Although Yunlan sect was once powerful, their defeat in this battle would likely plummet their reputation within the Jiama Empire. Thud, asterisk. Another heavy punch landed on Yunshan's already sunken chest. Xiao Yan's body also swayed, and the emerald green wings on his back faded even more. His right fist hung low, curving into an eerie arc. The frenzied attacks that followed the previous mad flurry had fractured many of Xiao Yan's bones due to the immense force of the countershock.